Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Musical Connections podcast. We are here at the Delta Hotel in St. John's for the 2025 East Coast Music Awards. Well, coming up next week at the Majestic Theatre, this guy who has been playing in productions for Best Kind Productions, Divas, /Tada Events, Spirit of Newfoundland, Jazzy's Big Band, and more, is putting out his debut solo album, Turn on the Dark. And it's his first solo album. He's one of Newfoundland and Labrador's finest entertainers, singer-songwriters, and pianists. Joining me now here at the Delta is evanwattssmith. Evan, how are you, buddy?
I'm great, Zach. How are you? I
am fantastic. Congratulations on your brand new album, Turn on the Dark. It's going to be coming out the day that we're shooting this is ECMA week, of course.
Yeah.
It's here in St. John's for the first time in 10 years. It's my first ECMA here in St. John's, but my second one entirely.
It's my first ever.
No way.
Yeah, I know. Because this is the first time I ever put out real music. Not real music. Non-cover music.
No, absolutely. Because you've been used to doing productions for the acts that I mentioned, Tada Events and the Divas do Christmas that Sheila Guy Murphy does every Christmas.
Yep.
Also with the Jazzy's Big Band and some members that have been a part of that too have been Natasha Blackwood and Bill Brennan.
That's right.
There's also Best Kind Productions. I think don't know who does that, but also you've done work for Peter McDonald Productions.
Yeah, I primarily have worked in theater for the last 15 years with pretty much every local company. Musical directing, acting, singing, playing, and then doing a lot of cover work. So I do a tribute show to Elton John and Billy Joel called Piano Men, and I've toured that across the island and done it here, and also done it with the symphony, the Newfoundland Symphony Orchestra, and also a symphony in Quebec. And actually, that's the thing that got me into doing original music, because I finished doing that gig and was like, that's the best thing I've ever done.
Wow.
And then was so depressed when it was over because I was like, that's the best thing I'm ever going to do when I'm only 30.
That's one of your best opportunities you can really get at that time.
Right? As a cover artist, it's like to do excellent cover music with a symphony orchestra is like, that's the highest peak, right? So
absolutely.
I crashed real hard after that. 3 sold out nights with the symphony, and then within a month or so, I was like, okay, I think it's time now to start writing music. I think that's the only way to try and find that high again.
No, absolutely. And you got a brand new album out May 16th called Turn on the Dark. You're going to be celebrating this at the Majestic Theatre.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that later. But I want to talk about this album, Turn on the Dark. Mm-hmm. Why now put out an album? Because, of course, you've been playing for more than 15 years in cover bands and also big productions, and also with that symphony that you just talked about a moment ago. Yep. Why now?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is I sort of had checked off so many things on the list that I wanted to do with my career. And doing my own music and doing an album had always been something that's on the list but kept getting pushed a little lower. Things kept taking priority. So after that whole symphony thing and things just feeling like I was at the highest peak and then crashing back down to earth, I was like, okay, now it's original music time. So I turned 30 a few years ago, and that was sort of I never struggle with aging, but I did feel like 30 was significant in a way. So I was like, there's certain things I want to put the time into now, or it'll never happen. So doing the album was one. And it was sort of serendipitous because I was doing a gig with Janet Call at the LSP Hall, I think. And Matt Dines was there doing sound, and I'd never met Matt before. And he was so delightful. You know Matt. He's just the best
obviously.
person, right?
Former guest of this show.
Yeah, he's such a delightful person. He did a great job on the sound. And I was like, hey, man, what's your deal? And he was like, oh, I work with Hurricane Music. And I was like, I've heard of those guys. And I knew of, Pete McDonald is a good friend of mine, so with Violet. And I knew that Rosemary Lawton was with them. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you're the Hurricane Music guys. And then I was working on a grant with Music NL to do some professional development, and I was emailing back and forth with Dave Shears, and he was such a delight. Had never met him before. So then these sort of universes came together, and I was like, oh, you guys together are Hurricane Music. You're both wicked. So I messaged them, and I was like, I have an idea. I want to do an album, and I think you're the people. I think the universe is telling me to work with you guys.
Yes.
And they were both so open to it, and we had some great chats. They, volunteered their time on Zooms and meeting up in the studio, and it was awesome. It felt like it was meant to be in a way.
Oh, for sure. And of course, Dave Shears and Matt Dines had a history together as they both played in Rocket Ship back in the early to mid 2010s. Yeah. And I've had, I think, all the members on my podcast, aside from Kenny Purchase. I'm waiting for you, Kenny. But I deal with them enough at VOWR anyway.
That's right.
But those guys are great people. They're great for the community. Matt Dines is one of our premier music engineers. Dave Shears is one of the premier managers of the province, Industry Professional of the Year in 2023, and getting to work with Matt Dines, that must have been a real joy for you. So what was working with Matt Dines like?
It was so great. I mean, I have done so many things in the music business, like kind of all of the things, but and feel pretty skilled in a lot of the areas. But recording music and making music is one I felt like I was coming in as a little baby. Like I knew nothing. So I would just show up with songs and then just like be all ears for feedback. And Matt really brought me into the studio a lot. So when he was even in the mixing phase, I was just sitting in a chair behind him and he'd be explaining things to me. And I'm like, cool. I want it to sound a little more yellow, a little more orange, whatever the term is. And then he'd be like, cool. So what we're going to do is blah, yada, 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 yada. And he'd do all these things and turn a bunch of knobs and tweak some stuff. And I was like, oh man, like it's just, he's such a professional. He's so knowledgeable. And he's also always learning. Like he's always speaking to other professionals in the industry and learning more things.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm starting to learn this more myself. Like, I've done media now for about 11 years or so, and I've been covering the music scene for 7. I still don't know everything.
Yeah.
With conferences like this, like the Music NL Weeks and ECMAs, you're meeting so much more people in the industry that are really going to help you grow to become a better professional entirely. And where you've been so used to playing cover songs and big productions for so many years, going to a studio to record your own album must have been a huge challenge for you.
Yeah, it was a challenge in so many ways in terms of certainly like rewrites. I'm somebody like I write a song, I'm like, cool, there's the song, and then it's like, oh yeah, no, we need to kill a verse, or we need this like 3 minutes max because it's a single. I'm like, what do you mean? It's a 4.5 minute song. They're like, no, we don't do 4.5 minute songs. I mean, you can have some, but so little things like that were trying at times. But one of the things that was so exciting to like bring into the studio was I've sort of played with everybody, so I didn't mind. I really thought about when we decided what songs were going to be on the album, I really thought about what the sound of the album was going to be, and then went, okay, of all the drummers I know and love, and I don't rate them in terms of a hierarchy of anybody better than anybody else. It's just different styles.
Oh no.
So I went, okay, who's the drummer who fits this the best? Who's the bassist who fits this the best? Who's the guitarist? Blah blah blah, and then strings and horns, and I really felt that was so. A little bit unique in a way, I guess, because I've just worked in so many different levels of theater and cover bands and other people's bands, and I was able to sort of sit back and go, cool, I have this huge sort of phone book in my head of musicians, and I kind of get to, ask. Hopefully people are free and interested, and everybody was.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So who are some of the people that you've had on this record you got the chance to work with?
Well, I started with the rhythm section. So Elliot Dix plays drums on the album, who's just like the most musical drummer on the planet. He's so great. And he plays with Mick Davis a lot. I also got my really good friend Mark Peddle on the bass. Mark doesn't do a lot of recording. He did a lot like 20 years ago and hasn't done a lot of recording since, but he's just exceptional. And then I had the pleasure of playing in a couple of bands with Nick Earl right before I started recording. So I just said to Nick one day, I was like, Nick, any chance you'd be interested in coming in and playing on my album? And Nick being Nick was like, yeah, man, that sounds like a great time.
Wow.
So like Nick is on there just wailing the guitar a couple times. And then I knew I played all the keyboards, and then I knew I wanted some horns and strings. So Bill Brennan did all the arrangements.
Awesome.
And I just made some calls to like symphony people. So like Heather Cow, who's like the principal violinist with the symphony, is playing violin. Dominic Green is playing violin. Maria Cherwick is playing viola. And Nathan Cook is playing cello. And then the horns are like some big jazz hitters. Terry Campbell's on trumpet. Greg Bruce is on saxes. And Aaron Sullivan on trombone.
That is like heavyweights of our jazz and blues scene, and also some heavyweights in our current music scene, like Nick Earl, because Nick Earl's one of the most popular performers we have out here right now. And dude's really multi-talented, but he also works his ass off.
He sure does. Yeah, and he's, I love it too when like people work their ass off and are successful and are good people. Like he's just a great person.
Oh, big time.
And then one of the tunes is a duet. So then I sort of went like, as soon as I wrote this song, actually, I was like, it's Mallory Johnson. I can hear Mallory Johnson singing this song.
Yeah, because both of you worked at Spirit of Newfoundland once upon a time.
That's right. We worked at the Spirit of Newfoundland. We worked at the Stevensville Theatre Festival together. That's where we met.
Oh, wow.
Because our families we were both based out in the West Coast. And so I played Mallory's band for a really long time. And typically when she's home, she'll give me a call. And so we did, I think it was Churchill Park Forest this year. She was like one of the openings for Shania Twain.
Oh, yes. I was so happy that Mallory got to open for Shania Twain.
Yeah.
She so deserves it.
Yeah.
And
was a great fit.
I think there was one song where she was like, having a tambourine. She was doing party dress and it broke.
First 30 seconds. Walked out on stage, adrenaline smashed a tambourine into midair. It was amazing. This tiny little human, just brute strength.
Yeah, it's like Mallory's still like too jacked for us for some reason.
That's right.
I don't know what kind of workout plan she's got.
Right? Who knows? But I called her and I was like, Mal, would you sing this song with me? And she's like, oh my God, I would absolutely love to. So that one hasn't been released yet. That's going to be on the album. But it's just so good. She made it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, let's turn to that next because, of course, I've known you through all these productions that I've just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. But who is evanwattssmith the person? So where'd you grow up to and how did you get into music?
I grew up on the West Coast in Stephenville. Well, I lived in a bunch of places when I was really young, but grew up from grade 2 until high school, lived in Stephenville. So I remember when I think I was 7, it was like one of those things that in the 90s, it was sort of still gendered in a way of like, girls do music. It's like girls go into voice lessons, girls go into piano. So my sister was in lessons, and I used to go over to the piano and be like, I think I want to do lessons, Mom. So Mom put me in lessons, and I used to love it when my sister was sick because our lessons were back to back. And when she was sick, I could stay for the extra half an hour. So I get an hour lesson. I was like, this is wicked. This is the dream. So
Awesome.
And then I started some voice lessons and did that a bunch, did a lot of theater growing up. And then quickly got into just playing and singing for myself. So I would do school concerts and, a couple little bands and things. And then when I was 15, I got a bit of a lucky break. One of the professional actors who was supposed to come and work at the Stephenville Theatre Festival had to sort of bail at the last minute, and I got bumped up from understudy to a role. And then I worked there in the theater festival for 7 years, built my way up to music director. And that was a blast. I totally cut my teeth there, learned so many things. Summer stock is like just you open a show and the next day you're already rehearsing the next show. It's madness. But it's thrilling and it's great. So I met so many people there. And then I moved to St. John's. I did a music degree at MUN in classical voice, which I never use. I never sing opera ever. But I just sort of thought it was a good groundwork to have. And then since I've been here, I've been doing, I lived in St. John's now for, 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And playing in bands, played with Kellyanne Evans' band for a really long time, played with Janet Call, played with Mallory, lots of theater, like you said, Tada and Best Kind and Spirit of Newfoundland and Sheila Williams and doing my own tribute things. So it's just been, it's been steady go. It's been great.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Now, so what was in your record collection growing up? Because I remember you were saying when you were talking about how you were growing up in Stephenville and you were aspiring to be a musician. You're talking about how girls do voice, girls do piano lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
But you look at guys that have done that, like Burton Cummings and Elton John and Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Look at how successful they have gone to when they took piano lessons and voice lessons.
Yeah.
They're some of the biggest performers that we've got.
Yeah.
So what was in your record collection? Was it those artists that I just mentioned? Was there some other artists that you were listening to growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I was never particularly picky. I remember I would just fall in love with a song and listen to it on repeat. Like one week it might be like an Air Supply song. I'm like, I heard it on a TV show. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Or like when I was 12 and 13, I was obsessed with Judy Garland. I thought she was the sunshine from Judy Garland. But Elton has always been there. I've always been a fan of live Elton. There's some of those artists that the records are great, but I used to have some of the concerts on DVD. And it's like watching those people play their music that they wrote 30 years ago with their band that they've had forever, and they're just having fun. The core song has been ingrained for so long that now they can just bring it to a brand new place that as a fan you go, oh my God. Sometimes people, I remember people used to complain when Bob Dylan came here 20 years ago or something.
Really?
And people used to say, who went to the concert, yeah, but he didn't do any of the songs like it is on the record. I'm like, see, that wouldn't be a problem for me. I would love to hear how he would do it now.
Yes, because your voices change and your styles change. I mean,
right.
Elton doesn't seem to sing the same key that he sung back in 1970.
No, or he changes the vocal melody that he does, and then the backup singer sings the top or whatever, which is great for me because I'm a much lower singer than Elton John. So I will, when I do my Elton John tribute stuff, I'll do it maybe in a lower key, but also I'll sing these alternate melodies that he does now that he's older. And they're richer, they're warmer, it's just... I love it.
No, absolutely. And it's great that you've taken on those projects the Piano Man series when you were, really making your name and cutting your teeth here in St. John's as well. So this is your first ECMAs ever here. What do you hope to take away from this weekend?
I'm just genuine. It sounds lame, but I'm genuinely just happy to be involved. I got an email a couple weeks ago to do a showcase, which totally shocked me. Dave Shears had just like submitted my name for showcases, and like they all came out and they were announced. And then after that had happened, I guess there was a few more spots they wanted to fill. So I have 2 singles out right now, so that doing an ECMA showcase was not really on my radar.
Yeah, Tipping Over and I think the title track?
Until You Love Me.
Until You Love Me.
Yeah, the title track comes out this Friday.
Oh, yes, why?
Yeah.
So it must be your focus track for this album.
That's right.
Got it.
So,
but anyways, back to ECMAs.
Yeah, so it's, I really hope to just make a few connections. I played last night there was a meet and greet at Government House for the ECMAs for any nominated Newfoundland artists and committee members and things of this, board members. So I was just playing some background jazz music, and like the spirit of what I assumed the ECMAs would be was so prevalent right away. Kelly Loader, who's a dear friend of mine, came over very quickly and was like, let's do a song. I was like, okay, because I'm just playing background jazz. And Kelly was like, no, let's do a song. I was like, okay. So then we did...
That's Kelly for you.
Right? So we did Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And
we both sang Elvis tune.
The Elvis tune. We both sang and I was playing. And then it's like, okay, now it's a bit of a party. It's a bit of a kitchen party in like this grand room at Government House. And then Carolina East got up and then we performed together Always on My Mind, Willie Nelson.
Wow.
And then I sang Benny and the Jets. And then Justin Fancy got up with me and did Eagles tune. All Alone at the End of the Evening. Take It to the Limit.
Take It to the Limit.
So like it became this like sort of like little kitchen party concert with like the lieutenant governor standing over there delighted, and it was so wonderful. So it's like that in itself I'm taking away. Just as like that's the spirit of what I thought the ECMAs would be, like being in a room where just things spontaneously happen and you make music with friends.
No, absolutely. I think we're also really all focused here too, because it's an opportunity where you advance your career. You can meet export buyers and delegates that really like want to purchase your music and take it to a playlist or a sync placement or maybe a festival or something. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun and support Atlantic Canadian music and be together in one room. And you just said right there, you were seeing some classic rock and light soft rock and being with some of your friends. I mean, you can't get no better than that.
You can't beat it. Especially when it's spontaneous. It's like it's unplanned. Everybody's going, I don't know, I could sing this. It's like, yeah, let's just try it. There's something magical in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, there's been a lot of people that I haven't really met yet. I mean, the other day I just met Classified, and that was a real pinch me moment. I remember I was watching him on TV in 2010 when the Junos were here in St. John's, opening up with O Canada. Right. And that to meet him 15 years later, it's just, what?
Yeah.
I also got to meet Brooks Diamond earlier today as well, like a promoter, Atlantic Canadian legend.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal dude. So who are you hoping to meet here?
I'm not going to get to very many events because it's just such a crazy weekend. But for me, it's more about just being able to support the people that I already know. If I can get out to some showcases of and support some friends locally, like that's sort of the dream for me.
Now, of course, you're going to be having your album release show May 16th at the Majestic Theatre. Mm-hmm. You're going to be having some of your players that you've had on the album on there. Nick Earl, I believe, is going to be there.
Yep.
And then I would imagine like Greg Bruce and Elliot Dix and all of them are going to be there to play with you. I would imagine Mallory might be there.
Mallory won't be there. So Mallory's in town for ECMAs, and then she has to take off.
Fly back to Nashville again.
That's right. So
that sucks.
I have Kathy Stock as guesting. So Kathy's going to jump in, who's just released some music as well.
Oh, Kathy's great.
So great. So Kathy is going to jump in and, fill in for Mallory, quote unquote, in her own right. She's so incredibly talented. And I'm delighted she said yes. And in addition to that, I also have Baraka is going to open up. And I've just grown
one of the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet.
I've grown to meet and love him. So, to meet Baraka is to love him. So he is going to open up, and then we're going to do a song together in my set because one of his tunes was like just one light year away from being on my album.
Wow.
Yeah, we wanted to have 6 tunes, and I had 5 really strong ones. And then Dave Shears said, I'm going to send you this Baraka tune and see what you think about it. And I immediately loved it. It's called Keep You Near. I don't think Baraka's ever released it. I was like, oh my God, I love this tune. And then I ended up writing Until You Love Me, which is out now. And we're like, Yeah, it's better to have your own tunes on there. So Baraka's tune got cut. But for the album release, I wanted to be able to tell that story and be able to sing the song. So Baraka's going to get up with me and we'll do that tune together.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Maybe Baraka releases on his next album. You sing on that.
Totally.
I mean, who knows?
Let the partnership continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other future plans for you? Any other big productions? Are going to be doing like a little tour by yourself with this
I'd
record?
love to. The summer's pretty busy. I'm associate music director of Come From Away in Gander. So I've been doing that the last 3 years.
Wow.
So I, for select dates, I'm playing accordion and keyboard and conducting the orchestra. So that's a blast. So I'm in Gander for a lot of the summer. And I'm also music directing the closing ceremonies of the Summer Games. So that's the other big event we have here, right? So that's a huge thing we have here this year. And that's going to be really thrilling. So it's like, national broadcast. I'm like going to be hosting it. Kind of hosting it, emceeing it, I guess. And leading the band for that. So that's sort of my summer. And then I hope in the fall, Dave and I are in chat to try and make some sort of little tour happen. Because last fall I did a tour of my Piano Man show on the West Coast. I'd love to hit the same venues maybe, but with original music this time.
Oh, that'd be amazing. But also throw in some of your covers as well,
That's right.
of Elton John and Billy Joel.
That's right. I'm trying to. On the album release, anybody who shows up will. There's still some tickets left. I'll throw out and say, but. It's the album, which is 6 tunes, and a little bonus track, and then I also have another 4 or 5 covers on there that are all artists that really have inspired me. So Elton's on there for sure. Rufus Wainwright, just like a brilliant Canadian artist.
Wow.
As well as Tom Waits, a big Tom Waits fan, and who else? Baraka is on there, of course.
Oh, big time,
right?
Big time.
And who's the other one that I'm forgetting? Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond.
So there's some those little cover tunes are in there too. Just and each sort of has a story about how it inspired at least one song on this album.
Well, we're gonna get to one of those songs shortly here on the podcast here. But for people who want to find out more about evanwattssmith and stuff you got on the go over the course of the summer, and for this album, where can they go to find you when it comes to say your socials and website?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at evanwattssmith. There's an artist page on there, as well as Instagram at evanwattssmith. And a website, which is admittedly a little brutal at the moment, but updating websites, I struggle with the updating the websites. Anyway, it's there, it exists. It's going to get better, folks, I promise. If you look at it now, it's only going up from here. But that's evanwattssmith.com. Yeah.
Awesome. And that's Evan, Watts.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, Evan, it's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you a little bit better. And of course, I've heard your name through the Spirit in Newfoundland and also playing with Mallory from time to time. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Majestic on May 16th and looking to spin more of this album. So, Evan, thanks so much for coming on the Musical Connections podcast. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for doing this.
Thank you. My total pleasure. Thank you.